Hi everyone, Dr. Remy and Martinez here from Pain Free and Fit. Today we're going to be going over some great tips of how to stay away from aggravating your degenerative disc disease with seated angle pose and bound angle pose. Hope you enjoy. So remember, with degenerative disc disease, the idea with all of our exercise, including our yoga poses, is to make sure we're holding a neutral spine in a safe position based on an analysis of your unique posture and body mechanics. If you haven't done so yet, go to either the Posture Size or the Pain Free and Fit websites, learn about your unique posture and how to hold your back in a stable position. We're going to start today, though, by just exploring a few basic ideas of pelvic position before we go into these poses. So Peg, could you explain to them how they can both flex and extend the spine and find those two end ranges within a happy, safe middle position?
So with a wide seated pose like this, you can round the back, think of that cat-cow, and you can lift up. So I cue the class to think about their pelvis on the floor like a rim, and they're exploring the edges of that rim. So here's a very rounded back, and here's a very archy back. So I have them kind of rock and roll. Almost rocking on their sitting bones, and then I have them stop, and then to cue in, think of lifting the spine up, and oh, like magic, you have that neutral spine, and I want them to hold there.
So that position is halfway between the extremes of where you're going to feel discomfort. If Peg rolls back far enough, she's going to notice at a certain point she's going to feel a little bit of discomfort in her back. That's one extreme. If she rolls forward the other way, she's also going to notice a little discomfort in her back. That's another extreme. She wants to position herself right in the middle of those two areas before she lengthens and goes tall. The other thing she wants to make sure is if she has a tendency to hip hike or raise one hip on one side, and that typically will be on the side that we all like to turn that foot out more on, she's going to have to be very conscious of holding that hip down, putting more pressure of that buttock into the floor to prevent the tendency for that particular hip to hike up and compress the discs on that side. That side usually will also be associated with a tighter hamstring, so if you can't get into this position, you may need to take a little towel to support underneath the knee to bend that knee to take off that hamstring tension. Peg, once I have that,
so if I have someone that has really tight hamstrings, you could take a block or a towel, and just by putting that under your sitting bones, it does two things. It takes a lot of pressure off that hamstring, but it also helps them get up and find that neutral spine a little easier. And I'd have them stay here. But let's say you're pretty good, you can keep that neutral spine, but you want to further go forward in the pose. I then would have them take their block in front of them, and I'd have them find their neutral spine, find their pelvis on the floor. I'd have them grow their legs long. So we want our kneecaps up towards the ceiling. We're very patriotic. We don't, with flags on our knees, we don't want our knees rolling in or out. They can hold on to the block, and then they think of the heart coming forward. So it's a very long body, long spine, and they can start to come forward. And I didn't have them stop. Check in with what's going on. They can wiggle their hips, find that neutral spine again, anchor the legs.
Ideally, you don't want to have loss. You don't want to make sure you have lost that neutral position as you're going forward. But many people will once they change position.
And
so
they'll tend to be like this.
Now that's totally lost and compressing the low back. So what Peg is saying here is once you've gone to the forward position, recheck by exploring not only a little back and forth, but a little side to side to see where that neutral position is. You want to make sure you're there before you decide to statically hold that pose.
There's a lot of energy in the legs here, and people tend to collapse and just kind of, collapse in the whole pose. So lengthening through those heels. You can even use a block to support that forehead if you wanted to, and really work on the legs, and also that key in with that neutral spine and not rounding it.
It helps to engage your spinal stability muscles in that area, because as we're going from an upright posture to forward, if we're not engaging the spinal stability muscles, meaning the transverse abdominis, pulling your lower abdomen in, meaning the multifidus muscles, meaning that lower abdomen as it pulls in should cause a bulging out on both sides of the vertebra, meaning abdominal bracing, meaning we're ready for a little punch. All those tensions help to lock that position in. So as you go forward in the pose, you're not losing the stability in your spine. The typical problem is as we go forward, we lose that lengthening, we start rounding that back, the discs get compressed, and that's going to aggravate that lower back and degenerative disc disease.
So a nice segue from here, because we're doing a lot of stretching that inner thigh, is to hold on to the inside of the knees and pull those toes in and come into a seated bound angle. Now this is hard for a lot of people, again, because the pelvis is on the floor and they're tight and they tend to round the back, and again there's that pressure. So you can start by bringing your palms behind, roll the shoulders, and come in a little closer, work the shoulders and push the feet together. And again, I'm bringing awareness to that pelvis on the floor and not rounding the back. So I'm giving my hands, the hands are giving me a little lift to help lengthen that spine.
That's where her focus is, never losing the focus of how do we protect those degenerative discs.
Now, if I'm feeling pretty good here and I have some, I'm able to maintain that, I could let go from behind and hold on to my feet, shoulder blades on the back, lengthen the knees away. And I'm still maintaining that neutral spine. But if as soon as I let go and I start doing this, I might have to put those hands behind me again to prop myself up. Now, once I'm here, I can pull those elbows in, lengthen that spine, and now I can start to think about the heart coming forward. This is, again, where we get into trouble. You'll see people starting to round because they want to get down to the floor. And this is tremendous amount of pressure on that low back. Not a very good feeling.
Can you see how Peg's neck and her lower back are integrated? In her proper position, she had a curve called a lordosis in her neck and the same curve in her lower back. As soon as she lost the curve in her neck, her whole spine started to flex, and that starts to flex and put pressure on those degenerative discs. So maintaining your neutrality here and in the neck works as one integrated unit from her ears through her hips, emphasizing the motion at the hip joint as she bends forward and not at the lower back where the degenerative discs.
So if you're really frustrated and you want to get down to the floor, again, a block can be used to support the head and get that nice curve in the spine. And we can rest here. Don't think your head has to go all the way to the floor.
So if you'd like this video and sharing these ideas on how to protect your degenerative disc, please give us a thumbs up below. Help us to share it with other people. Subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more videos on not only yoga, but other exercise and healing exercises for degenerative discs. Hope this helps you with your yoga workouts and your degenerative discs.